Rogers. Angel Lois is joining us on sign language interpretation. Let's get you informed. Now, tonight, a quiet power shift may be unfolding at the heart of government, making Deputy President Professor Kindiki appear under siege. Confidential documents obtained by KTN reveal a process that has placed Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi at the center of intergovernmental relations, a role previously associated with Kindiki's office, just months before the country enters another intense political cycle. Our reporter, Grace Nganga, traces the documents and the politics behind the decision.
Soon after leaving office, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua repeatedly warned that the ones who began his impeachment would eventually turn their attention to his successor, arguing that the ultimate target was not the individual occupying the seat, but to weaken the office of the Deputy President itself.
The way the people around William Ruto were treating me as Deputy President, being very disrespectful, abusing me, calling me all manner of names, that has started being done to him.
Now, fresh development have breathed new life into that assertion, reigniting debate over whether Gachagua's warnings were a prediction or a glimpse into a broader political strategy. Confidential government documents obtained by KTN trace a months-long paper trail involving the office of the Attorney General, the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Senate and the Presidency, culminating in President William Ruto designating Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi to administer the Intergovernmental Relations Act. The argument being advanced is simple. Kindiki has too many responsibilities, so much so that proposals have now emerged to remove him as chair of the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, IBEC, one of the country's most powerful intergovernmental bodies responsible for coordinating fiscal relations between the national and county governments. But that explanation has done little to silence the political whispers. For a man who has for months remained a constant presence at Kenya Kwanza rallies, tirelessly leading the two-term chorus for President William Ruto, many are asking, how can chairing a council that convenes periodically suddenly become an overwhelming responsibility? KTN has also established that since January, Kindiki has not chaired the Intergovernmental Coordination Committee, where on April, he invited stakeholders to a scheduled meeting, only for the invitation to be withdrawn without an explanation. The sequence of events dates back in January this year, when the Attorney General prepared draft regulations to operationalize the Intergovernmental Relations Act. But when the regulations reached the Senate, lawmakers raised a constitutional question. Well, Executive Order Number 1 of 2025 assigned the Deputy President responsibility for coordinating intergovernmental relations. Article 147(4) of the Constitution bars the Deputy President from exercising functions reserved for a Cabinet Secretary under the Act. The Senate advised that President William Ruto invoke Article 132(3)(c) of the Constitution to designate a Cabinet Secretary to administer the law. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi subsequently sought that designation, writing head of Public Service Felix Koskei, asking him to utilize Article 132 of the Constitution and appoint him as the Cabinet Secretary in charge of intergovernmental relations. On June 8th, Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service Koskei communicated the President's decision, formally designating the mandate to Mudavadi, with Kindiki not copied in the correspondence. Weeks later, Mudavadi informed the Council of Governors that his office had received the designation and directed the State Department for Devolution to take the necessary steps to implement the directive. In another intriguing twist, on the same day, the Parliamentary Affairs PS wrote to her counterpart, Mr. Mikhail Enasol, PS for Devolution, asking the office to issue a gazette notice declaring that Mudavadi was now in charge of the intergovernment relations docket.
Hii serikali ya William Ruto ambaye fireman ako namba 2 ati tuondoke ati tungoje serikali ingine.
The emergence comes at a politically sensitive moment less than a year before the next general election, with succession politics within the Kenya Kwanza administration gathering pace. Some leaders allied to President William Ruto have publicly argued that the president should broaden his political support beyond the Mount Kenya region ahead of the 2027 polls, with suggestions that his running mate could come from another part of the country.
We have to go for a lower position. It must not be lower than number 2.
Nobody ataweza kuzima ndoto ya jimbo la Pwani. Haiwezekani. Ama namna gani? Ni nini ambao wao wanacho sisi hatuna?
It would be foolish for me to again go back to Omame. I can only go up.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has also recently claimed that individuals around President Ruto have shifted their focus to Kindiki.
Wewe mtu ya soprano hapana tumiwa na Kasongo vibaya.
Nimepata habari vile walikuwa wananikosea heshima au Wakalenjin wameanza kumtesa huyu Kindiki hapo, kumkosea heshima. Saa hii they don't see him like anybody. And I've sent word to him. Nimetuma mtu rafiki yake nimemwambia be careful.
This is not the first time Kindiki seems to be a target. As he settled into office after Gashagua's ouster, President William Ruto increasingly assigned Mudavadi a more visible role in coordinating government business both locally and internationally. While the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary has a coordinated mandate, the growing prominence of the office sparks political debate over how executive responsibilities have been shared. In the months that followed, Kindiki maintained a lower political profile, focusing largely on government programs and development tours, even as speculation over the influence of his office persisted. Grace Nganga, KTN.
Moving on, after a successful